Wagbad Stubbsy Bricks and another episode of Building Jabba's Palace and Lego. And we're going to be starting this week off by making a Mills plate, and we're going to be using the 16 by 16 plates as opposed to a 48 by 48 base plate, and just purely because they're obviously a little bit stronger, a little bit thicker. And what we're then going to do, we're going to build the tower directly onto this. So at the end of last week, we prototyped a circle, which was 48 studs by 48, which will fit on this perfectly. However, I'm considering shrinking the diameter by 4 studs, and that's purely because I want to use this sort of like size as the sort of like the plate to carry the tower on. However, on the side of the tower, if you look on this picture here, you can see there's some stairs and a doorway that lead up to the side of the tower. So I'm just considering at this moment whether or not to sort of like shrink it by 4 and put a 4 wide tower going up there, or I might make it three studs, or the other option is I could just overhang it, because it's only going to be a very small section which overhangs. But we'll have a think about that. But first of all, we need to dig out some 2x2 bricks and join all these plates together so it's nice and sturdy, nice and strong. And then we'll plate off the top section as well. And yeah, then we'll start building that tower up. So let's get to it. And here we have our 48 by 48 stud base plate. It's all been Mills plated. As mentioned, we have used the 16 by 16 plates at the bottom as opposed to a standard 48 by 48 base plate, and it's mainly just to give it the added strength. And also, when it's resting on the mock, it's going to be sat on tiles, and if I want to, I can then still sort of like lap things over to it. I can join things together because it will all be exactly the same height, whereas a base plate's that much thinner, and obviously everything wouldn't line up. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put some plates down for the hinges that are sort of like on the edges, and then we'll put tiles underneath the other hinges, so we get the new circle all the way around there. And I think I'm going to do, as I mentioned before, I'm just going to shrink the size of the tower just marginally by 3 or 4 studs. It's not going to be even be noticeable, I don't think, just so we can have the small section for the steps to go on. There's a circle all put down on the plate with the cross beams going across in 2 places, just to help keep the circle as circular as possible using the method that we're using here. What we're going to do now is we're going to make a start on the stairs, so we're going to attach them to every one of these here. So we're going to have a look at the pictures, see how many steps we need to build up on there, or how far we need to go up on it. Then once we've done that, we'll then start building the rest of it all the way around. So let's get the grey bricks out, look at some pictures and get building. I am not liking the look of these steps. The gap there is just way too big. I can lose the gap on the top there by using plates. So what I would do, so like 2 plates down here would have a tile on it, and then I would tile across, and then that would, or plate across, and then that would stop that from happening. So it's not a problem on losing the gap looking down. It's just when you're looking from this side, I just don't like the way that it is at the moment. Now these stairs only go round sort of like about a quarter of the circle, but the one thing that will happen is if I extend this whole tower to its original size of 48 by 48, whereas at the moment it's 42 by 42, these gaps will be a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull it all up and redo the circle. The other thing that I could do if I wanted to is actually extend the Mills plate just on these 2 edges to cover the stairs area. So again, we may very well do that as well, just so that when we're moving around, we don't risk knocking the stairs on something and disrupting it. But let's first of all, let's get the circle to the correct size again, and then we'll go from there. And here is our revised plate, and it's an extra 6 studs in width in both directions, and we've extended the base here by 6 studs back out to the 48 by 48, which is what we had it originally. So fingers crossed, now when we do the stairs around here, the gaps are just going to be a little bit smaller, and then once we put the tiles on the top of them and everything, it's going to look okay. So let's get the grey bricks back out and let's see what it looks like. And the steps are coming on really nicely, and very part intensive once again, and very, very fiddly. So there's a few little gaps in there, but again, when you pan out, I don't think it's really going to be that noticeable, so not too bothered about that. But yeah, pleased with how it's looking. I think it's going to be probably about we're going to come around here, so it's probably going to be about twice as high by the time we finish doing the stairs. and then the grey section is going to go around the bottom of here, and just here we're going to have a doorway which is not going to be obviously to scale, because none of this is to scale with the palace, unfortunately, but we're doing the best we can with the space and pieces we've got available to us. So anyway, let's get back to building. And here are the stairs that are on the side of Jabba's palace. Really pleased with how they've come out, and as you can see when looking down, with the exception of like where I've purposely used a curved plate and a chipped one there, for example, you cannot see through at all, so it's all worked out really well. The only gaps you've got are sort of like just down the edges here, which was inevitable, and we have obviously those on the side of the palace as well. But really pleased with the look of how it's come out. On the inside here, the multicolour bit, obviously you're not going to see that because you're not going to be seen inside the palace, of this building of the palace, sorry. What we do, these walls get built up and they'll go over that, so it's going to help keep the stairs in place. Now what we're going to do on these tan bricks at the bottom is we're going to put a couple of odd plates here and there going up and down, and then fill the gaps in, level it off using dark bluish grey or light bluish grey and black and things like that. And the idea of the tan is it's like the sand is brushed up against the side of the palace. And the bottom wall is coming on really nicely, doing a combination of the like modified bricks, put some little cheese wedges inside here, just doesn't show up really well on the camera. There you go, it's a little bit better. But yeah, just trying to get as many little details in there without going over the top as possible. We're now going to change the colour over, and we're going to go for probably the dark orange, I think, for a few levels, just to bring that up. And again, we'll start putting in a mixture of different sort of like colours with it, whether it's like a nougat or brown, things like that. Just keep it as interesting as possible. We will put a couple more hinges on here on top of the grey before we put the orange on. Not on every single pillar, but just now and again, just to help strengthen up. And we'll also put some bricks coming up here, joining on to those sections as well. Again, just purely to give it a little bit more stability. But yeah, let's get to it. And the base of Jabba's palace is coming on really nicely. We've got a combination of the colours there, so we're using the dark orange and the nougat colours at the moment, with the dark bluish grey down the bottom. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually remove these 4 panels just here, and that's where I'm going to be putting the doorway in. So I just wanted to make sure that it was all circular, and what I'll then continue to do is just carry on doing the archway around, or sorry, the building around the top there. So we use some hinge bricks along that part. Obviously the door is going to be nowhere near to scale, because this whole building's nowhere near to scale. If we were doing an actual R2-D2 and 3PO, they'd be sort of like about the size of a 1x1 brick on the bottom of there. But obviously we're using a bit of a creative license for building this mock, so let's get destroying that front section there, see what we can do in the way of a door, and once we've done so, we'll check back in and show you what it looks like. And the lower section of the tower is coming on really nicely. We've got the door frame all in there, and it's dead straight across there, and then we've used what we've had to do is use the modified plates, which have got the curves on both ends, to enable us to connect it up to the rest of the bricks there, and obviously use a stud, 1x1 stud there, a couple of cheese wedges connected to a snot brick, and again all these little sort of things just to fill the little gaps in on there. But again, I think once you sort of like it's in the whole mock of the massive scale of everything, you're not really going to notice all these little bits here. The snot bricks on the top here, they're going to have tiles over them, because on the palace, if you look every so often, there's sort of like a ring that goes all the way around which protrudes, so that's what that's going to be. So we'll tile over that, and I think we're pretty much at the right height that we need to be at the moment. We're about a quarter of the way up, so we're on about brick 10 of the 40 that I'm intending on going height wise. Around this side here, there is supposed to be a door down here as well as up the top, so I'm wondering whether to just do one at the top there. I'm not sure yet. There are loads of little window bits on there, but again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about those. If I do put any in, you won't be able to see in there, obviously, because there's not going to be an interior. It's just going to be a hollow sort of like shell, because all of our details, buildings, etc. are going to be underground. But really pleased with how this tower started off. I might change this a little bit as well, get rid of that straight line and sort of have it so it goes more up and down. Put a few more colour, sort of like maybe a few more tan plates in, dark tan plates in there. But all in all, yeah, happy with it. There's the throne room sat on top of the mock there. Really pleased with how it's looking at the moment. I think the colours are what we're looking for, and we're going to be transitioning the nougat into the dark tan, and we put a couple of speckles of it on the top there, as you can see, and it's the same colour combinations we've got down here, so they do blend in relatively well. Next up, we're going to concentrate on the walls inside of here. We're going to put some more details on to replace some of the bricks, just to give it a little bit more texture. More detailing has been added to the walls around the palace. Not a great deal, but just enough to break all of the tan up. And we've replaced the plated wall around the archway here with a brick built one. And as you can see, we've used inverted slopes here, but we've then gone to a snot technique for the rest of it because we didn't have the right slopes for it, and it does the same job. And how we've attached on the back here is we're putting another stud here, and then we put another snot brick to that side of it, and that'll keep it all firmly in place rather than it just flapping around like so. So that one's nice and firm there. So we're just going to carry on building this section up here, get this all up to the same level, and then we'll tile that all off. And now all the walls are up to the correct height. We've plated off this entire section here. We do need to put a level of tile on here before it's permanently done, but at least it's all strong and it's all at the same level now, so that's the important thing. And we're just checking in to show you what's happening. And we've managed to get a lot of the sand done on the front here. So it's coming on quite nicely. We are so low on tan plate though. I think it's like 1x1s is pretty much all we've got left now. And we have got a fair few thousand of those. They were on Pick a Brick Hall a little while back, so we can get a lot of details done with that. With this bit here, we're going to be putting some 16x16 dark bluish grey plates on to start with, and then sort of like doing a miniature mills plate. So it's not going to be a whole brick, I don't think. It's probably just going to be a couple of plates. And then we'll do tan over the top of that, so that'll then be sort of like covering that section. And obviously we need to put a row of tiles all over the whole of that, just so that they can just rest on there as that one is there. But yeah, really happy with how it's coming on. Obviously we've got to get creative now with the tower, as the next level up is going to be very difficult to do. So I need to build a support structure in here for the next part of the tower to rest on there and then just clip into place somehow. And the reason being is the way that I'm using sort of like these hinge pieces in here, they don't do them in the colour that I need them to be in. So the dark tan colour, they don't do them in. They do them in the nougat colour there. So unless I use them and sort of like as a sprinkle, but again, they're in bricks. I don't know whether or not it's going to look right. They're not cheap either. They're quite expensive for the amount I'm going to need. It's going to be another massive chunk onto the overall cost of this mock. But again, we do need to make sure that it looks right. So if that's where we've got to go, then so be it. But if I can find, I've got a lot of the tan hinges in plate, so if I can find a way of sort of like doing that on the inside without the gaps being too big, then that's what we'll do. So we're going to have a bit of a prototyping session this coming week and see what we can come up with. But yeah, really pleased with the progress that we've made. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. Hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, remember, please give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you could share it with family and friends, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping by. See you next time. Bye for now.